Hello, in today's lesson, our two learning targets are I can simplify fractions and I can find the lowest common denominator of two fractions. So today's lesson is going to be all about kind of the basics of fractions. So first off, a fraction has two numbers, one on the top, one on the bottom. So for example, 2 over 3, that's an example of a fraction. The number on top is called the numerator, and the number on the bottom is called the denominator. So fractions, as you probably know, represent some piece of a pie, is a good way of thinking about it. So for 2/3, we break our pie up into 3 parts, and we shade in 2 of them. That's 2/3. The first thing I want to go over is simplifying fractions. So if we have some fraction like 8 over 10, there's a way to put this in what's called a more simplified form, which is how we want to put our answers to problems on math tests, homeworks, and stuff. So in order to see if we can simplify this fraction, we want to see if we can divide both the top and bottom by the same number. So in this case, both 8 and 10 are divisible by 2. So if we divide the top and bottom by 2, we'll get 4 over 5. So since 5 is a prime number, we can't divide it by anything other than itself, and we can't divide 4 by 5 evenly, so our answer would be 4 over 5. So the really important thing to remember when we're dealing with simplifying fractions is we need to divide the top and bottom by the same number. We can't divide them by different numbers, or we'll actually have a different fraction. So if we have, say, 25 over 10, in this case, 25 isn't divisible by 2, even though 10 is. So we're going to need to try to find another number that these might be divisible by. And that number is 5. Because 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. And 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. So this fraction, in simplified form, is equal to 5 over 2. So let's do another example. Let's do 24 divided by 8. So if we have 24 divided by 8, we might know that each of these is divisible by 2. So if we divide each one by 2, we get 12 over 4. 12 over 4, each of these is also divisible by 2. So if we divide each of them by 2 again, we're going to get 6 over 2. And each of these is divisible by 2 as well, because 2 is divisible by itself. Divide each of those by 2. We're going to get 3 over 1, which is just equal to 3, which is our answer. And you notice, in the first place, if we had noticed, hey, both of these numbers are also divisible by 8. 24 divided by 8 is equal to 3. 8 divided by 8 is equal to 1. And we would just get 3 there. That's a quicker way to get to our answer. So both of these methods are correct. We could just keep dividing by 2. In this case, it was quicker, but we arrived at the same answer. So I have no preference as to which method you personally use to simplify fractions. So let's do another one. Let's do 56 divided by 16. So this one might be a little bit trickier. These are both divisible by 2. So let's try to find another number that they're divisible by. So 16 is divisible by 2. 2, 4, 8, and itself. So we want to see if 56 is divisible by any of these. So 56 is divisible by 2. 56 is divisible by 4. 56 is divisible by 8, because 8 times 7 is equal to 56. And it is not divisible by 16. So if we take the highest one and divide side by 8, we get our answer is 7 over 2. And that is the most simplified form possible, because each of these are prime numbers, so they can't be divided by anything other than themselves. And once again, if we started by dividing it by 2 instead, we get that's equal to 28 over 8. Both of those are divisible by 2. We get 14 over 4. Once again, they're both divisible by 2. And we get 7 over 2, which is the same answer. So again, the same method works. And just kind of to sum things up, in order to simplify a fraction, we want to find a number. So I'll write it down. In order to simplify a fraction, we need to find a number by which the numerator and denominator are both divisible. So I'll circle that. And if no such number exists, there's no way to simplify it. Like, for example, if we have 4 divided by 15, the number 4 is divisible by 2 and 4. The number 15 is divisible by 3 and 5, and itself, obviously, 15. But since it doesn't have any of these numbers in common, this is our simplified form, and it can't be simplified anymore. So that's simplifying fractions. I just want to go over a little bit of other basic fraction info. So if you have a negative, so say we have -1 divided by -2, these two negatives will cancel each other out, and in simplified form this would actually be positive form. So if we have again like -7 or -3, that's just equal to +7 over +3. And additionally, our convention is usually, so if we have 4 over -5 is the same thing as -4 over 5, and often we'll just put the negative sign in front and call it -4/5. So if there's one negative on either the numerator or denominator, we usually like to put it on top, although these two fractions are equivalent, they're the same thing, and we can just put it in front of the whole thing if we want. So that is our learning target of I can simplify fractions. So hopefully now that you've watched this video, you know how to simplify fractions. So now we're going to launch into finding the lowest common denominator of two fractions.